My mother-in-law handed me divorce papers at my son's funeral. Sign these. You're not worthy of our family name. I was broken, grieving. Then, my phone rang. It was my lawyer. I put it on speaker. Her face went from smug to terrified in seconds. The cemetery was still visible behind us. Fresh dirt, dark and wet, piled on top of the small white casket they'd just lowered into the ground. My baby, my Noah, 7 years old and gone because a drunk driver ran a red light at 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon while my son was walking home from school. Sign them now, Margaret demanded, thrusting papers at me, before you embarrass yourself further. My husband, ex-husband, apparently stood beside her with his hands in his pockets, silent, staring at his shoes like they contained answers to questions he was too cowardly to ask. Like always, James won't say it, so I will. Margaret's voice carried across the cemetery lawn, where mourners were still filing toward their cars, black umbrellas against the October drizzle. This marriage is over. You've gotten enough from our family. I looked at the papers in her perfectly manicured hand. Scarlet nails, Chanel suit, diamond tennis bracelet that cost more than my car. She'd worn it to her grandson's funeral. People were turning to look. I could feel their stares, could hear the whispers starting. My son just died. My voice came out broken, barely there. And you'll use that for sympathy, for money, for whatever you can extract from us. Margaret's lip curled. I've seen women like you before. You think tragedy gives you leverage. She thrust the divorce papers at me again. They fluttered in the wind. Official, legal, stamped and signed and ready for my surrender. My hands shook when I took them. I couldn't make them stop. The trembling started in my fingers and spread up my arms, into my chest, until my whole body was vibrating with grief and rage and something else I couldn't name. She's pathetic, Margaret announced to James, loud enough for everyone within 30 feet to hear. Look at her, shaking like a leaf. This is the woman you married? This weak, grasping little Mom, James said weakly. Not here, not now. When then? She rounded on him. When she's bled us dry? When she's taken everything we have? Your father built this family from nothing. I won't let some waitress destroy it. I was never just a waitress. You served food to people for tips. Margaret's voice dripped contempt. You came from nothing. You had nothing. Then you got pregnant, and suddenly you had everything. Don't think I don't know exactly what you did. My phone buzzed in my coat pocket. I ignored it. It buzzed again. Catherine Mills, my lawyer. The one I'd hired 3 months ago, when Margaret's attacks had escalated from passive-aggressive comments at family dinners to showing up at my house, unannounced, going through my mail, questioning my parenting. Not now, Catherine, I whispered, declining the call. Immediately, she called back. Mrs. Torres. Catherine's voice was urgent when I finally answered. Clip, professional, with an edge I'd never heard before. Put me on speaker. Right now. Don't ask questions. Just do it. Something in her tone made my thumb move before my brain caught up. The phone's speaker clicked on. Hello? Catherine's voice rang out across the cemetery lawn. Is Margaret Patterson present? Margaret's perfectly shaped eyebrows shot up. Who is this? Catherine Mills, Mrs. Torres's attorney at Mills and Rodriguez. I'm calling about the divorce papers you just presented to my client. Good. Margaret's smile was sharp, satisfied. Make sure she signs them. Make sure she understands that any attempt to contest will result in those papers are invalid. Silence. Excuse me? Margaret's voice went cold. They were filed by someone without legal authority to do so. They're fraudulent documents. James finally looked up from his shoes. What are you talking about? My mother has power of attorney for you, Mr. Torres, not for your wife. Catherine's voice was ice, pure ice. Mrs. Patterson forged your signature on these divorce papers 3 days ago, October 17th, at 2:43 p.m., at the law offices of Gerald Hutchins in Pasadena. The color drained from Margaret's face like someone had pulled a plug. That's insane, she sputtered. I would never. I have the notary's statement. Linda Chen, 22 years as a certified notary. She's willing to testify that you told her James was too grief-stricken to come in person, that he was too devastated by his son's death to handle the paperwork. She notarized documents you signed with your son's name. Margaret's mouth opened and closed. No sound came out. The mourners who'd been walking toward their cars had stopped, were turning back, forming a loose circle around us like we were street performers, and this was the finale. Margaret tried again. I was acting in my son's best interest. You were committing fraud, forgery, identity theft. Take your pick of felonies. James grabbed his mother's arm. His face had gone white. Mom, what did you do? I was protecting you. There's more, Catherine continued, and her voice had gone from ice to something colder, something darker. The life insurance policy on your grandson, Noah James Torres. The $2 million policy through Pacific Life Insurance. You attempted to redirect the payout to yourself this morning. James's grip on Margaret's arm tightened. What? I can explain. Margaret was backing up now, nearly tripping over a cemetery bench. The insurance company flagged it as fraud. They've already contacted the police. Detective Raymond Shaw, with the Pasadena Police Department's Fraud Division. 16 years on the force. He's very interested in speaking with you. Margaret sat down hard on the bench, her Chanel suit rumpled, her diamond bracelet catching the weak sunlight sunlight breaking through the clouds. You called the insurance company at 9:17 this morning, Catherine continued relentlessly, while your daughter-in-law was at the funeral home making final arrangements. You claimed to be the primary beneficiary. You submitted falsified documents showing you as the policyholder. She doesn't deserve that money. Margaret's voice was rising now, losing its polish, its control. She'll waste it. She'll run off with it. I know women like her. You're not the beneficiary, Margaret. Catherine's voice cut through. You never were. The policy names Noah's mother as sole beneficiary, not his father, not his grandmother. The mother you've spent the last hour publicly calling a gold digger at her own son's funeral. The crowd murmured. Someone gasped. James was staring at me like he'd never seen me before. You knew about the policy? I set it up when Noah was born. My voice came out steady now, stronger. When your mother told me at the hospital that I'd never be good enough for this family, that I'd trapped you, that she'd be watching me. You weren't good enough, Margaret hissed from her bench. You still aren't. A waitress. You saw money, and you latched on like a parasite. Stop calling me a waitress like it's an insult. I turned to face her fully. I was a waitress putting myself through nursing school. I graduated top of my class from USC. I'm a pediatric oncology nurse. I make $93,000 a year. I never needed your money, Margaret. I never wanted it. Then why the life insurance? Because I'm a mother. My voice cracked. Because I wanted my son protected. Because I know bad things happen to good people, and I wanted to make sure if anything ever happened to me, Noah would be taken care of. I had to stop, had to breathe. I never thought the words wouldn't come. I never thought I'd be burying him at 7 years old. I never thought I'd be the one collecting instead of him. Several people in the crowd were crying now. I saw Noah's teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. Saw my co-worker Alicia covering her mouth with both hands. Saw James's Uncle Tom shaking his head slowly, disgust written across his face as he stared at Margaret. Mrs. Patterson, Catherine's voice cut through again. I'm also calling about the house. Margaret froze. The house at 847 Maple Drive in South Pasadena. The 3-bedroom Craftsman that James and his wife purchased 5 years ago for $478,000. The one you've been telling everyone at family gatherings belongs to the family. The one you've said should revert to the Patterson estate if the marriage ends. It should, Margaret started. I have the deed right here. Care to guess whose name is on it? Both of ours, James said quietly. Mine and Elena's. Exclusively. Joint tenancy with right of survivorship. Not Margaret Patterson. Not the Patterson Family Trust. In fact, Mrs. Torres has been making 100% of the mortgage payments for the last 14 months, since Mr. Torres's commercial real estate business began experiencing significant financial difficulties. James was staring at me. How? How were you making the payments? I thought. You thought what? I looked at him. Really looked at him. At the man I'd married 8 years ago. The man who'd proposed on a beach in Malibu. The man who'd cried when Noah was born. The man who'd slowly, gradually, steadily let his mother poison everything we'd built. You thought I was sitting at home eating bonbons? You thought I spent my days shopping and gossiping? I don't know what I thought, he admitted. Mom said. Your mother said I was lazy, that I didn't contribute, that I was living off the Patterson name. I looked at Margaret. I picked up extra shifts, night shifts, weekend shifts, double shifts. I worked 50, 60, 70 hours a week. I made the mortgage payments. I paid the utilities. I bought the groceries. I put gas in both cars, while you told everyone I was a burden. Margaret's lawyer, a thin man, in a too-tight suit, who'd been hovering at the edge of the crowd, appeared at her elbow, whispered something urgent in her ear. Her face went from white to gray. One more thing, Catherine said, and I heard papers rustling on her end of the line. The college fund, the 529 plan that was set up for Noah when he was born, the one your mother-in-law has been managing as the account custodian. My stomach dropped. I'd forgotten about the college fund. She liquidated it yesterday, October 18th, at 4:32 p.m., all $73,412. Transferred it to her personal checking account at Wells Fargo. James lunged at his mother. Actually lunged. His Uncle Tom had to grab him. You did? What? James's voice was raw, broken. You stole from your own grandson? I was protecting family assets. Margaret was standing now, backing away from her son, from the crowd, from the reality of what she'd done. From who? James roared. From his mother? The woman who just lost everything? The woman who's standing at our son's grave while you try to steal from her? She would have taken it in the divorce. There is no divorce. James's face was purple. You forged my signature. You committed fraud. You tried to steal insurance money from our dead son. Margaret's lawyer had his phone out now, was speaking rapidly in low tones, probably calling his malpractice insurance carrier. Mrs. Torres, Catherine said. I've compiled all the evidence. The forged divorce papers, the insurance fraud attempt, the theft of the college fund. I've sent everything to the Los Angeles County District Attorney's office. They'll be filing charges within the hour. Margaret collapsed back onto the bench. Her lawyer was backing away now, putting distance between himself and his client. Smart man. James knelt in front of me. His eyes were red, his hands shaking. Elena Elena, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know what she was doing. You should have stood up for me at our son's funeral. My voice was flat, empty. That was all I needed. For you to tell your mother to stop, to leave, to let me grieve in peace. But you just stood there, like always. He flinched, like I'd slapped him. Good. I looked past him to Margaret. She was crying now. Real tears. Mascara running down her face in black rivers, destroying her perfect makeup, her perfect image. Mrs. Torres, Catherine said. One more thing. The prenuptial agreement Margaret insisted you sign 7 years ago, right before the wedding. The one that said you'd get nothing if the marriage ended. Everyone went silent. Even the wind seemed to stop. I had it reviewed by a colleague who specializes in family law, Professor Daniel Kim at UCLA. He's testified in over 200 prenup cases. I could hear my heart beating, could feel James's eyes on me. It's void, Catherine said. Completely unenforceable. Margaret made a sound, a choking, gasping sound. Margaret Patterson witnessed the prenup herself. She signed as a witness. Under California law, family members can't witness prenuptial agreements. It creates a conflict of interest. The prenup was never legally binding. Margaret's face went white, chalk white, which means in the event of a divorce, Mrs. Torres is entitled to half of all marital assets, including the Patterson family trust that James inherited from his father, the irrevocable trust that was supposed to protect family wealth across generations, the one currently valued at $8.4 million. I heard someone gasp, heard Margaret make that choking sound again. James was frozen on his knees in front of me. But I'm not filing for divorce, I said quietly. James looked up at me, hope flickering in his eyes. Elena, I'm filing criminal charges against Margaret for fraud, forgery, theft, embezzlement, and attempted grand larceny. I looked at the woman who'd spent 7 years calling me worthless, who'd told me at Noah's second birthday party that I'd never be a real member of the family, who'd questioned my parenting at every opportunity, who'd shown up at the pediatrician's office uninvited to make sure I was taking proper care of the Patterson heir, who'd tried to steal my dead son's insurance money 6 hours after we buried him. The family name you said I wasn't worthy of? I met her eyes, held them. I'm the only one who didn't destroy it. The police arrived 12 minutes later. 2 uniformed officers and Detective Raymond Shaw, 40-something, gray at the temples, wearing a rumpled suit and a wedding ring. Margaret tried to run, actually tried to run. She made it maybe 10 feet before her Louboutin heels sank into the wet cemetery grass, and she went down hard. They arrested her right there, next to a headstone for someone named Robert Chen, 1934 to 2019, beloved husband and father. Margaret screamed the whole time, about her rights, about her lawyer, about how this was all a misunderstanding, about how I was a con artist who'd manipulated everyone. Detective Shaw read her rights in a bored monotone while securing the handcuffs. He'd clearly done this 1,000 times before. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. The crowd watched in silence. James's Uncle Tom was filming on his phone. Mrs. Rodriguez had her arm around Alicia, both of them crying. My sister Sophia, who'd driven down from San Francisco for the funeral, appeared at my side, put her arm around me, held me up when my legs started to give out. I've got you, she whispered. I've got you, Mija. Margaret was still screaming when they put her in the back of the patrol car. She's not worthy. She never was. I was protecting my family. Someone has to protect what we built. The car door slammed, muffled her voice, didn't stop it entirely. Detective Shaw approached me with a small notebook. Mrs. Torres, I'm going to need a statement. Not now, you've been through enough today, but sometime in the next 48 hours. Can you come to the station? I nodded, couldn't speak. Your lawyer did good work, he said quietly. Fast work, smart work. The evidence packet she sent us is airtight. This is going to be a very easy prosecution. He handed me his card. I'm sorry for your loss, and I'm sorry you had to deal with this today, of all days. He walked back to his car. The patrol car with Margaret pulled away. She was still visible through the rear window, still moving, still screaming probably, though we couldn't hear it anymore. James hadn't moved from where he was kneeling in the wet grass. Elena, he said, please, let me explain. Let me make this right. There's nothing to explain. I looked down at him, at the man I'd loved, the man I'd built a life with, the man who'd let his mother destroy everything. You chose her over me every single time, every argument, every conflict, every moment when you could have stood up for your wife, for your family. You chose her instead. I didn't know what she was doing. You didn't want to know. There's a difference. I stepped back, away from him. I tried to tell you, 100 times, 1,000 times. I told you she was interfering, controlling, manipulating. You called me paranoid, jealous, said I was being dramatic. I'll fix it. You can't fix this, James. You can't fix what your mother did. You can't fix our son being gone. You can't fix 7 years of choosing her over me. Sophia's arm tightened around me. Come on, Elena. Let's go. Where? I laughed. It came out broken, hysterical. Where am I supposed to go? Our son is in the ground. Your mother just got arrested at his funeral. Where am I supposed to go? Home, Sophia said firmly. You're coming home with me, to San Francisco, for as long as you need. I looked back at Noah's grave, fresh dirt, white casket under 6 feet of earth, my baby. I can't leave him, I whispered. scared. You're not leaving him, Mija. You're leaving this. Sophia gestured at James, at the crowd, at the chaos. He's in your heart. He'll always be in your heart. But you can't stay in this cemetery. You can't stay in this marriage. You can't stay in this family. She was right. I knew she was right. But knowing something and doing something are different things. Mrs. Torres, Catherine's voice came through the phone speaker. I'd forgotten she was still on the line. I'm filing a restraining order against Margaret. It'll be served by tomorrow morning. She won't be able to contact you, come near you, or attempt any further financial manipulation. You're protected now. Thank you, I managed. I'm also filing a motion to freeze all of James's assets pending the outcome of the criminal case against his mother. Given that she had power of attorney over his financial affairs, we need to ensure no further funds are moved or hidden. I heard James make a sound. A protest, maybe. An objection. I didn't care. Do whatever you need to do, I said. I will. Elena, Catherine's voice softened. I'm so sorry. About Noah. About today. About all of it. You deserved better. You deserve better. Yeah, I said. I do. I hung up. Looked at James one last time. I'll have my lawyer contact you about the separation. Don't call me. Don't text. Don't show up at the house. If you want to communicate, do it through Catherine. Elena, please. But I was already walking away. Sophia on one side. My sister Maria, who'd been standing quietly in the back on the other. They held me up, kept me moving, got me to Sophia's car. I looked back once, saw James still kneeling in the grass, saw Noah's grave, saw the crowd starting to disperse now that the show was over, saw the cemetery stretching out in all directions, headstones and monuments and evidence of grief as far as the eye could see. Can't believe she tried to steal from him, I said. From Noah, from her own grandson. I can, Maria said grimly. Mom always said Margaret Patterson would sell her soul for money. Turns out she was right. We drove away. The cemetery disappeared in the rearview mirror. The charges were filed 23 hours later. 11 counts total. Fraud, forgery, grand theft, identity theft, attempted insurance fraud, embezzlement, filing false documents. The list went on. Catherine called me at Sophia's apartment in Noe Valley to walk me through everything. The DA is taking this very seriously. Margaret's bail is set at $250,000. She posted it this morning, used her house as collateral. Of course she did. The trial is set for April, 6 months from now. They want to do a full investigation, pull all her financial records, see if there are other victims. Other times, she's done this. Have they found anything? James's business partner contacted the DA this morning. Apparently Margaret had power of attorney over the business accounts too. He's noticed discrepancies, missing funds, unexplained transfers. They're investigating whether she embezzled from the business. I closed my eyes. James, he's cooperating with the investigation. His lawyer advised him to distance himself from his mother's actions. He's claiming he had no knowledge of any of it. Did he? I don't know, Catherine said honestly. The DA doesn't think so. They think Margaret acted alone, but they're investigating everyone with access to the accounts. What about the college fund? Can we get it back? I've already filed a motion. Wells Fargo has frozen Margaret's account pending resolution of the criminal case. The $73,000 will be returned to a new 529 account in Noah's name with you as the sole custodian. But Noah's, I couldn't say it. He doesn't need a college fund anymore. The money is yours. You can roll it into a different type of account. Use it however you want. It's restitution for what she stole. I nodded, even though Catherine couldn't see me. What about James? What do I do about James? That's up to you. You can file for divorce. You can legally separate. You can try to reconcile. But Elena, Catherine's voice went gentle. You need to do what's right for you, not what's right for him, not what's right for the family. I don't know what that is anymore. You will. Give it time. James called 47 times in 3 days. I blocked his number. He showed up at Sophia's apartment. I didn't answer the door. He sent letters. I returned them unopened. He sent flowers. I donated them to a local hospital. On the 4th day, his uncle Tom called. Elena, it's Tom Patterson, James's uncle. I was at the funeral. I remember. I need to tell you something. About Margaret. About what she's been doing. I know what she's been doing. No, you don't. Not all of it. Tom's voice was heavy, exhausted. I've been going through family records, financial documents. Margaret has power of attorney over my mother James's grandmother. She's 92. In a memory care facility. My stomach dropped. Margaret's been stealing from her too. For years. Tens of thousands of dollars. Maybe more. My mother's accounts are almost empty. I thought it was medical expenses. Facility costs. It wasn't. It was Margaret. Oh God. I'm filing elder abuse charges. Financial exploitation. The DA is adding it to her case. Tom was quiet for a moment. I'm sorry, Elena. I'm sorry we didn't see what she was. I'm sorry we let her do this to you. To Noah. To all of us. It's not your fault. It is. We all saw the signs. We all knew she was controlling, manipulative. We just didn't think she'd go this far. He paused. For what it's worth, James is devastated. He's barely eating, barely sleeping. He's realized what he lost, what he let his mother destroy. That doesn't change anything. I know. I just wanted you to know that he knows, that he understands what he did, what he didn't do. Thank you for telling me. After I hung up, I sat on Sophia's couch, staring at meant nothing. Sophia brought me tea. What are you thinking? She asked. I'm thinking that I spent 7 years fighting Margaret, fighting for my marriage, fighting to be accepted, fighting to be good enough. I looked at her, and none of it mattered. She was never going to accept me. She was never going to stop, because it wasn't really about me. It was about control, about money, about power. Are you going to divorce him? I don't know. I sipped the tea. It was chamomile, calming. Part of me still loves him. The him from before. The him who used to stand up for me, who used to choose me. But that person is gone. Or maybe he was never real. Maybe I just wanted him to be real so badly that I convinced myself he was. You deserve someone who chooses you first, every time. Not just when it's convenient. I know, but knowing and doing are different things. The preliminary hearing was in December. Margaret showed up in a conservative navy suit with her hair pulled back, trying to look respectable, dignified. The judge wasn't buying it. Mrs. Patterson, you're charged with 11 felonies. The evidence against you is substantial. Do you understand the gravity of these charges? Margaret's lawyer, a different one, expensive, from a big downtown firm, stood up. Your Honor, my client maintains her innocence. She was acting in her family's best interests. She forged documents. She stole from her grandson's college fund. She attempted to redirect a life insurance payout from a dead child. The judge's voice was ice. None of that sounds like anyone's best interests, except her own. She was protecting family assets. From the child's mother, the woman with legal custody, the woman who'd been supporting the household. The judge shuffled papers. I'm denying bail reduction. Mrs. Patterson will remain free on the original $250,000 bond, but she's required to wear an ankle monitor. She's prohibited from accessing any financial accounts except her personal checking, which will be monitored. She's prohibited from contact with Mrs. Elena Torres, Noah Torres's estate, or any potential witnesses. Margaret's face went red. Your Honor, that's excessive. What's excessive is attempting to steal $2 million from a grieving mother at her child's funeral. The judge looked at Margaret directly. You're lucky I'm not remanding you to custody pending trial. Don't make me regret that decision. The hearing ended. I walked out with Catherine. That went well, she said. Did it? The judge is clearly on our side. That'll matter at trial. Judges talk to each other, set precedents. If she's already signaled that she finds Margaret's behavior unconscionable, the trial judge will take note. When is the trial? April 12th. 4 months from now. 4 months felt like forever. 4 months felt like no time at all. James filed for divorce in January. His lawyer called Catherine. My client believes a divorce is in everyone's best interests, given the circumstances. He's willing to offer a generous settlement. How generous? Catherine asked. $2 million, the house, and his agreement not to contest custody of any future. The lawyer caught himself. I'm sorry, that was insensitive, given the circumstances. Given that their only child is dead? Catherine's voice could cut glass. Yes, that. Catherine called me after she hung up. James wants a divorce. He's offering $2 million. I don't want his money. Elena, I don't want his money. I don't want anything from him except to be left alone. You're entitled to half of everything. The trust alone is worth over $8 million. You could take $4 million and walk away. Start over. Build a new life. With blood money? With Patterson money? The same. Money Margaret was so desperate to protect that she stole from her own grandson? Catherine was quiet. I don't want it, I said firmly. I want the house. My half of the house. I want it sold, and I want my equity from it. That's all. That's maybe $300,000. You're walking away from millions. I don't care. I never wanted their money. I wanted a family. I wanted a husband who chose me. I wanted my son to grow up happy and safe. My voice broke. I don't get any of that, so I don't want the money either. Elena, please, Catherine, just do this for me. Negotiate the house sale. Take my equity. That's it. I'm done with the Pattersons. I'm done with all of it. She agreed reluctantly. The divorce papers were filed 2 weeks later. The house sold in March for $680,000. I got $340,000 after paying off the mortgage and the realtor. James got the same. The Patterson family trust stayed with James. I didn't want it. Didn't want anything that connected me to that family anymore. Margaret's trial started on April 12th as scheduled. I had to testify. Had to sit in that witness box and recount the worst day of my life while Margaret stared at me from the defense table. Mrs. Torres, the prosecutor asked, can you describe what happened at your son's funeral? I described it. Every detail. Every word Margaret had said. Every moment of humiliation and grief. The jury looked horrified. 2 of them were crying by the time I finished. And you had no knowledge of Mrs. Patterson's attempts to access the life insurance funds? None. I found out when my lawyer called me. At the cemetery. While Margaret was demanding I sign forged divorce papers. Objection. Margaret's lawyer shot up. Alleged forged papers. Sustained, the judge said. The jury will disregard the characterization. The document's validity is a matter for them to decide. The prosecutor nodded. Mrs. Torres, did you give Margaret Patterson permission to access your son's college fund? No. Did you give her permission to file divorce papers on your husband's behalf? No. Did you give her permission to contact Pacific Life Insurance regarding your son's policy? No. Thank you. No further questions. Margaret's lawyer tried to paint me as vindictive, calculating. calculating, someone who'd set up the insurance policy as a trap. Isn't it true, Mrs. Torres, that you set up this life insurance policy without your husband's knowledge? He knew about it. I told him when Noah was born. But he didn't sign the paperwork? He didn't need to. I was the parent securing the policy. The premiums came from my checking account. He signed the medical release forms. That was all that was required. And you made yourself the sole beneficiary? I'm Noah's mother. Of course I'm the beneficiary. Not your husband? James had his own life insurance through his business. If something happened to me, Noah would have been taken care of. This policy was to protect Noah if something happened to me. That's what parents do. We protect our children. My voice broke on the last word. The lawyer backed off. The trial lasted 3 weeks. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all 11 counts. Margaret collapsed when the verdict was read. Had to be helped from the courtroom by her lawyer and the bailiffs. James wasn't there. He hadn't attended any of the trial. Sentencing was set for 6 weeks later. Catherine called me the day before sentencing. The DA is recommending 8 years. Margaret's lawyer is asking for probation and restitution. 8 years isn't enough. It's the maximum for the charges. With good behavior, she'll serve maybe 5. And then she's free to do this to someone else? She'll be a convicted felon. She'll lose her financial licenses, her ability to serve as power of attorney, most of her social standing. Her life as she knew it is over. Good. The next day, I sat in the courtroom while the judge sentenced Margaret Patterson to 8 years in state prison. Mrs. Patterson, the judge said, you violated the trust of your family in the most egregious ways possible. You stole from your own grandson's education fund. You attempted to steal his life insurance benefits. You forged legal documents. You exploited your elderly mother-in-law's diminished capacity. You have shown no remorse, no accountability, no recognition of the harm you've caused. Margaret was crying. I'm sentencing you to 8 years in state prison on the primary charges. The sentences on the remaining charges will run concurrently. You're ordered to pay full restitution of all stolen funds plus damages. You're permanently barred from serving as power of attorney or financial custodian for any other person. Do you understand this sentence? Yes, Margaret whispered. They took her away in handcuffs. I watched her go, felt nothing, just empty. 6 months after the sentencing, I was still living with Sophia in San Francisco, working at UCSF Children's Hospital, starting over, building something new. James called once. Sophia answered because I'd blocked his number. She doesn't want to talk to you, Sophia said. I know. I wanted her to know I'm sorry, that I understand what I did, what I didn't do, that I'm in therapy, that I'm trying to be better. That's great, James. I'm sure your therapist is very proud. Can you tell her I loved Noah, that I miss him every day? She knows you loved him. That was never the question. Sophia hung up, didn't ask if I wanted to talk to him, knew the answer already. 1 year after the funeral, I went back to the cemetery, alone, brought flowers, yellow roses, Noah's favorite, sat by his headstone and cried. I'm sorry, baby, I whispered. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you from that drunk driver. I'm sorry your funeral turned into a nightmare. I'm sorry your grandmother tried to steal from you, even after you were gone. The wind rustled through the trees. But I got her, Noah. She's in prison. She can't hurt anyone anymore. And I'm okay. I'm sad. I miss you every single second of every single day. But I'm okay. I stayed there for an hour, talking to him, telling him about my new job, about Sophia's apartment, about the support group I'd joined for parents who'd lost children, about slowly, painfully learning to exist in a world where he didn't. When I stood to leave, I saw someone standing by a tree about 50 feet away. James. We stared at each other across the cemetery. He raised one hand in a small wave. I didn't wave back, just turned and walked to my car. Some things are too broken to fix. Some people are too late to save. Some families are better left behind. 2 years after the funeral, I got a letter from Margaret's lawyer. She was up for parole. Did I want to submit a victim impact statement? I did. I wrote about Noah, about the life he would have had, about the college fund that was meant to send him to whatever school he dreamed of, about the insurance policy that was supposed to protect him, not enrich the woman who terrorized his mother, about standing at his grave while his grandmother demanded I sign away my rights to grieve, about the year of therapy it took before I could sleep without nightmares, about the fact that I'd never trust another person's family member with anything important ever again. The parole board denied Margaret's request. She'd served the full 8 years. Catherine called to tell me. How do you feel? She asked. I don't know, I admitted. Relieved? Vindicated? Still just empty? That's normal. Trauma doesn't have an expiration date. Will I ever feel okay again? You'll feel different. Whether that's okay or not, you get to decide. 3 years after the funeral, I met someone new. David, a pediatric surgeon at UCSF. Kind, gentle, present. Someone who asked about my day and actually listened to the answer. Someone who'd lost his wife to cancer 5 years earlier. Someone who understood grief. We took it slow. Coffee dates, long walks, carefully sharing our damaged pieces. I was married before. I told him on our 5th date. I know, Sophia told me. She's very protective of you. His mother went to prison for trying to steal from my son's estate. I know that too. too. It was in the news. I waited for him to run. To decide, I was too complicated, too broken, too much. I'm sorry you went through that, he said instead. No one should have to fight their own family while grieving their child. You're not scared of my history? My baggage? Elena, he took my hand. We all have history. We all have baggage. The question isn't whether you have it. It's whether you're willing to share the weight of carrying it. I started crying. He held me while I sobbed into his shoulder. Didn't tell me it was okay. Didn't tell me to stop. Just held me. 4 years after the funeral, Margaret was released from prison. Sophia called to tell me. James picked her up, took her home. She's living with him now. Of course she is. Are you worried? No. She can't touch me. She's a convicted felon. She has no access to money, no power of attorney, no authority over anything except her own life. She's powerless. She could still try to contact you. The restraining order is permanent. If she tries anything, she goes back to prison. I looked out the window of my apartment, my own apartment now, a small one-bedroom in the Mission District. I'm not afraid of her anymore, Sophia. She's just a sad old woman who destroyed her family for money she couldn't even enjoy from prison. That's healthy, is it? Or is it just exhaustion? Maybe both. 5 years after the funeral, I married David. Small ceremony, 15 people. Sophia officiated. I wore pale blue. David cried when I walked down the aisle of the courthouse chapel. You're beautiful, he whispered when I reached him. You're crying because I'm happy, because I get to marry you, because you said yes, even though I'm a terrible cook and I snore and I leave socks everywhere. I laughed. I love you, I said. I love you too. We kissed. Everyone cheered. Afterward, we went to Noah's grave, left flowers. This is David, I told Noah. He's good. He's kind. He talks about you like you're still here. He'll never replace your dad, but I think you'd like him. David squeezed my hand. I wish I could have met him, he said quietly. Me too. We stood there for a while, then we went to dinner with our small group of family and friends, celebrated the beginning of something new, built on the foundation of everything I'd survived. James sent a card. I didn't open it, gave it to Sophia to read. It's an apology, she reported, and congratulations. He says he's happy you found someone who deserves you, that he hopes you're happy, that he's in therapy, that his mother is living in a supervised facility. Now, her parole requires it, that he thinks about Noah every day. Do I need to respond? No. I threw the card away. Some doors are meant to stay closed. 6 years after the funeral, I got pregnant. Unexpected. Terrifying. What if something happens? I asked David at 2 a.m., crying in our bed. What if I lose this baby too? What if I can't protect them? What if everything goes right? David interrupted gently. What if we have a healthy baby who grows up, loved and safe? What if this is the beginning of something beautiful instead of the repeat of something tragic? You can't promise that. No, I can't. Life doesn't come with guarantees. But Elena, he took my face in his hands. We can love this baby. We can protect them as much as humanly possible. We can build a life where they're safe. That's all anyone can do. I'm scared. I know. Me too. But we're scared together. Our daughter was born 7 months later. Healthy. Perfect. We named her Hope because that's what she was. Evidence that life continues. That joy is possible even after devastation. That you can lose everything and still find reasons to keep going. Margaret died when Hope was 2 years old. Heart attack. James called Sophia to tell her. Does Elena want to come to the funeral? He asked. No, Sophia said, without asking me. I understand. Can you tell her I'm sorry? For everything. For all of it. That I know I failed her. Failed Noah. That I've spent 6 years trying to be better. That I hope she's happy. I'll tell her. Sophia told me that night while I was giving Hope a bath. Margaret's dead. Heart attack. Funeral is Friday. Okay. That's it? Just okay? What else is there to say? I lifted Hope out of the tub. Wrapped her in a towel. She hurt me. She hurt Noah. She went to prison. She died. That's the end of the story. James said he's sorry. Good for James. I carried Hope to her bedroom, read her goodnight moon, tucked her in, kissed her forehead. Mama, she said sleepily, tell me about Noah. Your big brother? Yeah, the one in the pictures. I told her about Noah's laugh, his love of dinosaurs, his gap-toothed smile, his terrible knock-knock jokes. He would have loved you so much, I whispered. He always wanted a little sister. I love him too, Hope said, and she fell asleep. I stood in her doorway watching her breathe, thinking about Noah, about Margaret, about James, about the family I'd lost and the family I'd built, about standing at a cemetery 6 years ago while my mother-in-law tried to destroy me, about the phone call that changed everything, about Catherine's voice cutting through the grief and humiliation with evidence, with truth, with justice. The family name you said I wasn't worthy of? I'd told Margaret that day. I'm the only one who didn't destroy it. I was wrong. I did destroy it. I destroyed the Patterson name, destroyed Margaret's reputation, destroyed the illusion of their perfect family. But I didn't destroy me. I rebuilt me. Different, stronger, scarred, but surviving. And that was enough. That had to be enough.